Welcome to the Corporate Venturing Insider Series, where I interview top practitioners in the CVC world and learn with you the best practices and golden nuggets that they have accumulated over their career. In this episode, we will be learning from Stefan Gabriel, MD and CEO of Hitachi Ventures. Stefan, could you take a few minutes to share your story and how you got to where you are today?
My career started when I was studying mechanical engineering within BMW. I was in charge of a lot of manufacturing processes, strategy for powertrain, new car concepts. It was always about anticipate the future of innovation, what kind of technologies would influence cars, what kind of ecosystems would be the key driver for new car concepts. And during this career, I was then one day asked by 3M to join and start a venture arm. So that was not planned. This came just by occasion because we were at that time looking into what is outside of automotive, right? What other technologies exist. And this opportunity was, of course, a great start into a completely different world, the world of corporate venturing. So I built this one. I was running that for several years for 3M, which is a multi-company having so many disciplines, so many interests, so many products that it became a global business to really embrace open innovation, to look into the future and find out what is the right fit, what is the right startups that would contribute to 3M. After some time and some success and a lot of awards in innovation, I left 3M and started working with a lot of other Fortune 500 companies and even looked into the CVC world. As that time, I was starting to become a business angel myself. So I invested my own money in exciting startups, helped them to grow and to advise them to some growth and execution of their business plans. After some time, I was again asked to run a big venture arm. This is the venture arm of Hitachi. And now, after having learned how American corporates work, how German or European corporates work, I found that very intriguing to look into this kind of Japanese culture, one of the biggest industrial conglomerates, number 6 in size, having all these challenges, what other industrials have in social, environmental, and health topics, and to identify for them what is the startups that would add value to this great endeavor and to grow and to bring and to add to R&D, which is at the end what I found out needs to be a very much more strategic approach. I would stand for strategic corporate venturing, and this is what I have been dealing with the last 2 decades almost. The strategic interest in venturing for corporates is the much bigger one than the financial interest. And this has a lot of implications, and I hope we can talk about these later today.
All right. Thank you, Stefan. Maybe I want to double click on, you say it was completely unplanned opportunity to join 3M, but clearly you must have grown your career in BMW in a way that you became attractive for 3M to reach out to you. Can you talk about what it is that you did at BMW that prepared you well to be the head of 3M Ventures?
For example, when I was running the innovation field of new car concepts, what you have to do is, besides big R&D, I think in BMW were something like 9,000 people looking to opportunities of the future. You need to embrace all disciplines within the company. It's not enough to look into what engineers like to do, engineer the next product, the next engine, the diesel engine or whatever, and think from there. But we met in involving and thinking about new car concepts. We met a lot of interesting people, right? Actually, there are other adjacent industries that influence, and this is the speciality about venturing as well. Innovations arise at the border or at the interface between different industries, right? Innovation in cars came from the consumer electronics business, or from interface and smart material companies, or there was the need to manufacture or to produce cars in a completely different way. All of this huge complexity made it mandatory to look into startups, look into smaller companies. And it's not only startups, it's just niche experts in specific areas that know something what you don't know as a big conglomerate, as a big BMW, but this will guide you. And so this is jointly looking into the glass bowl. This is what is left even today. You know that, right? We all try to align and we try to embrace and to anticipate how will the future look like. And besides, there are plenty of challenges. Today, these environmental challenges that we have, right? So it's not possible, whatever resources, whatever organic R&D you have available and what kind of money you need to invest to do that yourself, right? You need this huge network of experts. You need these challenging discussions about strategies, about scenario thinking, how markets develop quickly, right? And to be fair, R&D in a lot of big corporates is not fast enough to keep the momentum of what's happening in startup world. This is why corporate venturing and strategic corporate venturing is an exciting tool to foster developments and to embrace outside innovation.
So there are two things you said, which I smiled because that's what I use as an analogy for when I propose TDK Ventures as a project. You mentioned this is one tool among many things, but also it's a glass ball, which helps to see the future. Can you share a bit about how a corporate VC should act as a glass ball?
Yes. And I think maybe this is the differentiator when I talk about strategic corporate venturing, right? What is the need of corporates, right? Corporates are very big. They have a lot of hierarchy. They have huge budgets, but they concentrate on their core business. But disruption and innovation does not happen in the core business only, right? And this is maybe an area where you should know what you are doing, but disruption comes from adjacent areas, from the outside in. When I talk about strategic venturing, I talk about the strategic need for corporates to improve. And there's multiple topics where you can learn, but some of the biggest is a corporate venture arm looking into other territory, into different regions even. It's important to translate their finding into first of all, a strategic fit to your corporate, right? What is it that could add value in your corporation? So getting to know that, you first need to start with understand your clusters, right? So Hitachi, for example, has 5 big sectors: industrial, energy, mobility, IT, and smart life. Smart life is smart building, smart city, and even health. So there's a lot of sectors, and these sectors have subclusters. And I would say clusters are like, environmental clusters are like, for example, zero carbon, circular economy, wastewater, things like that. In healthcare, we have precision medicine, a lot more. So we have maybe 70 clusters. And to understand these clusters and what is driving these clusters or markets or small ecosystems, right? You need a lot of know-how. And this know-how you need to collect because you need to anticipate and you need to produce scenarios to understand what should be your business development strategy. What is important technologies you need to own? What is technologies you need to use? What is tools you need to have? What is your product strategy? What is your quality strategy? Even not today, it's not only about products. It is about solutions. In the digital world, it's more solutions than products. So you need to anticipate and you need to testify that. And let's say to experiment, right? Working with startups enables you to look into much broader universe of technology and of offerings in this space and experiment early stage before you would invest millions or billions R&D developments or in irrelevant business building, right? And even M&A, right? Corporate venturing can abbreviate R&D activities, right? Or R&D cycles. And I think there's a need for speed in a lot of developments because this world has become so complex that we all need to speed up. And it's about competition, right? And there are so many solutions, so many opportunities for solutions. You need to find out what is the right pathway and experimenting in this area, experimenting on a low risk level is much more useful than to rely on organic R&D and go this pathway to heaven. What do you think is the right thing to do? So looking into the glass bowl from different perspectives makes a lot of sense. I have a lot of learning from 3M on this space when we were, for example, jointly investing into startups, for example, with ABB, right? In a case of water monitoring, we made an investment to invest in a company, but look into this similar glass bowl, what's happening in water monitoring, water management technologies from two different angles. 3M had membrane business and filtrate and a lot of residential water technologies, while ABB was in the automation business. Suddenly, you jointly look into the same glass bowl, see something different, can talk about it, but at the end of the day, it's a benefit for both corporates, ABB and 3M at that time. And there are multiple topics like this. Is why you would jointly look into the glass bowl. Makes a lot of sense. I think startups are very agile. They mostly have great expertise in a specific niche that you don't have. They look much more global than you would do, because it's an adjacent area, which is not your core, and you are not even benchmarking in all of these topics. It's not possible. So they help you to look into this glass bowl and experiment in new territory. And it's not only new territory, sometimes it's quite obvious, but it's so complex that you need someone with guidance. So working with startups, for me, always is a win-win to both sides.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice. A few things that we have in common. The one is that we both work for a Japanese company, big one, Hitachi and TDK. Both of us are not in Japan or Japanese. One of the core values of TDK is trust. And you keep saying trust is key, especially for corporate venturing. Can you tell me what it is that you find the most helpful in the Japanese culture to do corporate venturing?
I must say, after working with American company, very tough, very energetic, very demanding, I think that from a technical perspective, the culture of a Japanese and a German company in our industry is very similar, right? They are highly skilled people, real experts in what they do. Maybe from a cultural perspective, Japanese companies have a really strong hierarchy, right? It's difficult to pass in the hierarchy. What is good for Hitachi Ventures, we are connected to the board. We have a advisory board, let's say advisory board, sounding board, BMW would call that, where we can talk, where we can exchange on strategic level. This is very helpful. And all of this activity was wanted by the former CTO who really initiated Hitachi Ventures and asked me to come up with a concept. How would I do that? Because Hitachi had some history in venturing before, and now we are doing that completely different, right? This journey just started 2 years ago operationally, but the concept was created maybe 4 years ago already. So we were thinking, how would we do that different? Just embracing Japanese culture, right?
So what would you say are good KPIs for them to get started?
How many collaboration projects could be started between startups and corporate? And we have the same discussion. It doesn't matter what is the KPI 20, 30, or 100, right? This doesn't matter. The significance of what can be achieved, the long-lasting relationship with the startup, even the anticipation of what they're doing, changing and helping your own business development to redirect or to challenge, right, is what is needed.
I think you're touching on a golden nugget, which is most corporate VCs value is learning from the startups you invest in. But actually, there are many engagements which will come from startups you don't invest in, but which will be a very good fit for partnership inside the company. And I like the way you described it. It doesn't matter the number of engagement. What you want is to move the needle. So it's more about the few that move the needle versus the many that don't. And that's why I was asking about the KPIs, because it's not easy to define what is the one that moves the needle.
In parallel, you always have, of course, these financial KPIs. And this is the expectation. We talked about that earlier as well, right? The expectation of every venture arm is that you generate some multiples of your investments. But this is really the second important topic. The most important topic is, imagine you identify the right startup restructure your strategy, build and develop great products. For example, this digital health platform that we are right now building, having done just 4 investments in this space, adding to this digital AI platform. So imagine you generate out of this a Hitachi business of 3 billion in the next 5 years. Then in relative, your multiple of the investment is relative. And for the startup, of course, this is very much effective because this will grow significantly just by Hitachi growing their business significantly as well. So this is a win-win for each and everyone.
Can you talk about maybe what you learned in being a change agent in a way that works and that really raises the bar for the company?
I think in general, the CTO in 3M always said, Stefan, reinfect 3M with the innovation virus.
That's a nice one. Very nice. And something you touch about is making sure you add value to the startups. Could you give some guidance about how to think about adding value to startups? Because many people talk about it. I'm not sure so many walk the talk. Can you give some guidance about how you're doing it that could be useful for the audience?
Discussing and deep diving in ecosystems where startups are, they are, of course, always concentrating on a niche and might not understand disruptors in their own environment. They sometimes have not the capacity, the budgets to concentrate on developing really valuable assets, valuable solutions and technologies, because they always need to think about how to finance their journey, right? So to be a good investor means to make sure that they have the resources and the funding they need to execute their business plan to next level. Give them advice, be the entrepreneur, act like you would be in their shoes and try to help them.
Very nice. When it comes to decision-making for investment, what was the best practices you use for building the investment committee, building the decision-making?
For me, it was mandatory to be the investment committee ourselves, to be independent, because what I said before, there's 2 different topics. One is the investment. The second is collaboration, right? Yeah. What we do is we always listen to what is the interest of the organization. Of course, this would not be polite not to ask. And we are interested about their opinion because they have huge expertise in specific areas and we need to know that. But we don't rely on that. We talk to outside experts. We have venture partners. We have fee partners. We have a huge network. My partners I'm working with, Seibold, Pete Bastian, and another one joining very soon. They are people who have huge experience in this area. Pete Bastian is coming from Next 47. Wolfgang has been with venture capital for many years with Early Bird and then was working for private equity. So they have huge experience and their goal is really to help these startups. We do this same due diligence every VC is doing, but we more try to imagine what is possible if they get the right support. And so this is a different thing. But what we always have is, I mentioned that, we have a Hitachi Ventures board. This is a board of executives from Hitachi, top level. And what's interesting is that we have great conversation about future strategies, about the need for specific topics. And we really translate why Hitachi wanted to start a venture arm, adding open innovation to Hitachi, helping to align strategies, even foster strategies to next level, but coping with all the challenges that you have in environmental, in health, in technologies right now, because it's not possible to do that from the inside out always. We are a sparring partner to the top management.
Very nice. I will have my last question. We're getting to the top of the hour. And I know it's something you're passionate about. What do you think we can do and should do to raise the bar in the corporate venturing community, especially as many new companies start their CVC journey just now?
We talked about that a little bit. I think the right setup of a venture arm is mandatory and it's a precondition to become successful. But to embrace startups, to look into specific areas jointly, and how we do that, and to listen to what startups need and to help them pursuing this journey jointly, right? Not yourself is important. I think us being members in the Global Corporate Venture Association, the leadership programs, Power List, and all of these things show that we want alignment, right? There's no competition between K and Hitachi Ventures, right? And there's very little competition with Next 47 or others. At the end of the day, there are so many challenges in the world. There are so many opportunities or solutions and technologies, right? Just pick those that fit the best to your future journey and don't compete too much, right? In venturing, you need to partner and you need to align and you need to help each other and make it success stories. The challenges are too big to do that yourself. Automotive took many years, like here, where when some automotive corporates put their investment budget jointly together to support this important journey of a competitor to Google Maps, right? And there are a lot of important technologies that need huge funding. We talk about the small funding of small plants to grow. So don't be jealous about someone else doing a good deal in a unicorn or whatever everyone is scouting out for. Try more to align and to collaborate even between CVCs.
Thank you, Stefan. It's a great way to end this interview. Dankeschön.
The pleasure as always. Niklas, I'm looking forward to discuss with you our journey and our preparation. And I think this is something as well, sending a message to COP26 out of this Global Energy Council. What can venturing do, right? What can startups add to these important challenges and targets that we all face on this planet? Right.
Yep.
Thank you so much for the opportunity and always open to answer questions to each and everyone. We get huge feedback and I think we are on the right track. And I would like to help a lot of other corporate VCs to change to the more successful as I described today.
Thank you, Stefan. Your passion is very obvious.
Take care to all of you. Stay healthy in these challenging times.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.